think so.
What letter is this?
Q.
Q. This is indeed a Q.
All right, welcome to the Patriot Hour for December 26, 2018. Thanks for joining in. We know how your time is busy. I hope you guys all had a great Merry Christmas and enjoyed your time with your family, your loved ones. Again, good times. All right. We got an article here that we're going to go over. Well, actually, it's a video. It's Trump versus the Globalist terrorist Federal Reserve. All right. This is very interesting to me. This is where a lot of my studies were. I really took to how this all got created. The bankers are always trying to come back. Since we defeated them, folks, Trump has called them out, saying that the greatest threat is the Fed. We've heard from the Q drops, it's going to be destroyed. We're going to reset it, highly modified. All right. The name, the Federal Reserve, is a tricky, very tricky word because it is not federal at all. It's like Federal Express. It just sounds real clever. You put federal in front of it, everyone thinks, oh, they're federally funded government. Not the case. All right. They've never been audited in the history of their existence. And that was our whole, one of our big things was to keep the central banks out of our money, to keep it debt free. We don't really need things like that. So this is a very interesting video. There are some books by a guy named Griffin. This goes over the whole Jekyll Island, how the whole inception of this all happened early on in 1913, and then with the Federal Reserve Act of 1918, I believe. Shortly after they got back in, our country was sold out. Woodrow Wilson actually regretted this deeply, folks. And I just got the computer all back up. So again, I'll get some stuff dialed in, but I wanted to let you know to check down below for the Twitter account. All right, we got the Twitter going. It's been strong. Lots of people coming in. Lots of good information gets put out there. You get to see Trump's. The sole reason the Patriot Hour's got is to get our videos out there. It's another aspect, another avenue, and then for keeping an eye on what's tweeted by Trump and some other noise, because everyone's using it. Even all these people in Congress, they all like to use it as a weapon. So we keep a close eye on it. But okay, we got this video. Check this video out. This is a good little, I think about 12 minutes. It's not the right one. I need to get a web browser. All right, here we go, folks.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Operation Freedom Briefings and happy holidays. The goal of these briefings and my weekly radio show Operation Freedom is to provide you information the bought-off, lamestream, fake media is not going to present and is not going to touch. You can join us at davejanda.com. We're there 24/7. We have a public side, a free side. We also have the subscription side, 30 cents a day. I believe one of the biggest bangs for the buck in all of the internet. We also have our radio show that you can stream live every Sunday, 2 to 5 Eastern. Go to davejanda.com, hit the upper right-hand corner, and hit the Listen Live button. Great analysis, great guests. We're there every Sunday, 2 to 5. Today, I'd like to focus on what's happening financially. There's a war between Donald Trump and the globalist terrorists represented by the Federal Reserve. Look, a little background and foundation. You probably know this, but I bet you your neighbors don't, and the vast majority of your family doesn't. The Federal Reserve is not a part of the executive, legislative, or judicial branches of the United States government. It's an independent entity. It's great marketing. Federal Reserve, like Federal Express, not associated with the federal government. The Federal Reserve is a group of independent bankers that are only looking out for the interests of banksters, not the American public, not our country. A great book, one of our guests on Operation Freedom on the davejanda.com platform, on our subscription platform, is G. Edward Griffin. He wrote a fantastic book, mandatory reading, The Creature from Jekyll Island. It talks about the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913 and how the money supply, the creation of the money supply was handed over to the globalist syndicate, the Rothschild-Rockefeller axis. These are the sinister players that have destroyed our country, that have created bubble after bubble, that have created financial ruin around our country, wreaked havoc and chaos. To us, that's horrible. To them, it's just another day at the office, because out of this chaos, they always get more power, more control, and more financial resources. Trump is in a death match with the globalists, and in particular, the Federal Reserve. Let me give you an example. Trump, in my lifetime, is probably the president who has publicly gone after the Federal Reserve like no other president, again, in my lifetime. Now, Reagan pointed the finger at the Fed. Kennedy pointed the finger at the Fed. Trump is in daily warfare with the Fed. Go back to October 10th. This is when he really went cosmic with it, if you will, really went overt with it. Trump blames Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Quote, "I think the Fed has gone crazy," end quote. October 15th, 2018. Quote, "My biggest threat is the Fed," end quote. Trump citing aggressive rate hikes. October 23rd, 2018. Trump escalates his attack on Powell. Quote, "Every time we do something great, he raises interest rates." November 23rd. It's interesting, on that day, the Federal Reserve issued a cautionary note about risk to financial stability, saying trade tensions, geopolitical uncertainty, and a buildup in corporate debt among firms with weak balance sheets pose strong threats. And then on November 27th, President Trump has come out and said, "The Federal Reserve is a much bigger problem than China," end quote. Now look, up until that point, he was talking about how horrible China is, how they steal from us, they rip us off. And now he tells the American public, the Fed is worse than China. President Trump has been tweeting about Powell, the chairman, about the Federal Reserve, about how they're trying to ruin the economy, bring down the stock market. In fact, Trump has known from the very beginning, I believe, that the financial system was based on vapor. Look at when President Trump ran for office. He was talking about how the jobs numbers are fraudulent, the government data is fraudulent, the stock market is a huge bubble being supported by the globalists pumping.
All right. So that's really, really good stuff, folks. I'm going to leave that link down below so you can watch the full video. There's no reason to just show the whole thing in here. Sometimes people get mad, I've noticed. So just try to be fair. The link will be down below. It needs to be watched. Other than that, you can do tons of research in this area. I'm going to do something here in a little bit, maybe later on this evening. I'll have something more put together about this. But if you look into that history, the Jekyll Island, the Creatures from Jekyll Island, that's a great book by Griffin. And then also, as well as looking several years forward to that, Woodrow Wilson with the inception of the Federal Reserve Act, which was taxes. And then shortly after all that time frame, business as usual kicked in. Wars started, World War I shortly after. It's just all the creation of debt. Their money-making agenda kicks in full time once they got that implemented here, which they were trying to do all through the 1800s into the early 1900s when they finally got it and got a president that they promised. And he deeply, deeply regretted it afterwards, folks. There's quotes by Woodrow Wilson. And again, I'll have some kind of video floating around here in a little bit going over some of this. But again, the globalist terrorist, all right, this is what they are. It's the Federal Reserve, and Trump is at war with them. We see it in his tweets, and we see it in real time. Again, I'm Michael. This is a Patriot Hour. God bless, Godspeed each and every one of you worldwide. We'll see you back here real soon on the next Patriot Hour update video.